Today we will continue with the prologue for Nerus. So last time, Nerus had a guest for dinner who was a fellow shapeshifter. Sax came down to have dinner with both of them, and things got a little tense. The guests started going into Sax's family, and he seemed to be very supportive of the way Sax's family had been doing. And you know that Sax has been also his family the way they operate, so when the shapeshifter was being very supportive of the family, that's what kind of made Sax upset, and the shapeshifter seemed to get upset about the negative thoughts about how negative Sax felt towards his family. So Nerus had to stop the argument, and he basically, I wouldn't say scolded, but he basically told both of them to start with the argument and calm down. Nerus told the shapeshifter not to talk about Sax's family, and that is a sensitive issue for Sax, and Nerus told Sax to be more respectful towards visitors, especially shapeshifters. So that's what really happened. There was a big argument between Sax and the shapeshifter who was visiting. So today Sax is going to transport Nerus to a big conference for the shapeshifters, and we should also meet Domino, who is the leader of the shapeshifters. There you are. Oh, there you are, great shapeshifter. I'm sorry if I'm late. When I went downstairs that morning, I haven't found Nerus neither in the parlor nor the dining room. It would have been strange if he overslept, so I had figured he went outside already. Not at all. Since I woke up earlier than expected, I came to watch the flowers. You really like them, don't you? They can be pleasant. The white flowers had a ghostly aura to them, much like their surroundings, but glowed with a pale light that wasn't found anywhere else. The smell was also pretty nice. They remind me a bit of you. Is that so? I mean, no offense. In what world is that offensive? Unless you're trying to imply something about me and my flowers. No, I just assumed I had said something wrong. In reality, I think both the flowers and you are quite beautiful, sir. How can you say that with a straight face when I have to apologize over nothing? Huh? Did I say something odd? You're quite airheaded, are you not? Perhaps he wasn't wrong. I truly didn't understand at the moment. It took a second for the gears within my head to turn out, and I comprehended what I had just said. But rather than muttering another apology, I grabbed my hat and tugged it down, as if trying to bury my head in it. I felt like I wanted the earth to swallow me whole right in that instant. Ugh! I can't believe I said that out loud. What was I thinking? Well then, how would you say I compare to the roses, Sax? Truly curious. In any case, while I sympathize with your current state of embarrassment, we do not have time for this. Let us be on our way. You have anything you would like to tell me, it can wait until after we come back. Yes, you're right. Ugh. Why do you have to say it like that, though? Anyway, please take my hand. We need to be in direct contact for me to teleport to both of us. I took one glove off and extended my hand to Nerus. It shocked me a little to see him take it without any hesitation after what I had told him, but I tried to not let it show. It was true that I needed to touch him in order to take him with me, but his pet palm, as well as his soft, warm fur, did feel nice. Come on, Saxy, hold yourself together. If you act like nothing happened, he might decide to do the same. Okay, give me a moment to visualize our destination. When I closed my eyes, I felt the entire world around me shift. Next time my eyelids were open, I'd be looking down upon my own immobile body, still standing in front of the house and holding hands with Nerus. I have always found it difficult to explain what happened to me while using my warping magic. It was as if time had frozen my soul, and my soul had been ejected not only from my flesh but from the realm of the living. My spirit looked at the world through what seemed like stained glass. Everything seemed distant, like a vague memory. My surroundings dark and empty. Back when I first discovered I possessed this ability, I panicked. I didn't understand what was happening to the point I thought I had died and become a ghost. Luckily, I was a curious child, and I had asked my family's warper how his magic worked. Eventually, I found my way out thanks to that, but I dread thinking what would have happened had I not remembered that exchange. I couldn't have been the first shapeshifter traveling in space. Has there ever been someone that couldn't escape? If so, what happened to them in the end? I prefer to not know, so I never ask. Since everything is in order, so the capital will go, then. My disembodied soul swam high into the deep sea that this ethereal, dark, and cold world was. Then I made my way to the capital. It would be wrong to say I just traveled all the way there. When I focused my mind on the capital, a ray of light broke through the darkness in front of me. A white undulating light fighting the sun through its murky ocean. And from that same direction I heard the past echoes produced by the wagon of dozens of shapeshifters waking the same street. I kept swimming, and in the blink of an eye I was there. Never was too big, just switching places with some walk or a big trash can won't do this time. I need something big enough to bring him here. Something no one would miss for a few hours if possible. I looked around at a blurry, artificially colored world for anything that fit that criteria. I ended up settling for a tree in the sidewalk since as long as I took the roots with me, I would be able to return it intact later. I placed my translucent palm on the tree, closed my eyes again, and then... Oh, jeez. A fraction of a second, we materialized where the tree just had been. A few passing shapeshifters shot surprised looks at us, but quickly went on their way. Although some of them stayed to stare daggers at Nerus. The sea was bright, a stark contrast to the dark manner I spent most of my time in. River flooded the streets, full life compared to that desolate forest. I liked my life at the mansion, but it was hard to not miss all this. But as for Nerus, is something the matter, sir? It is the sun, too bright. I don't have a problem with it, because I have been going out of the house pretty much daily, but you have been locked up in there for who knows how long, huh? Nerus nodded while keeping his 4 eyes shut. We just need to get to that big white building over there, right? Don't let go of my hand, sir. I'll walk you over there. I smiled even though he couldn't see it. Thank you. The meeting was going to take place at the great architect hall. The white building stood tall in front of the largest plaza in town. It was hard to miss. As we approached, I started to make out the form of a pair of doormen standing in front of the theater's glass doors. These 2 men guarded the entrance. So I introduced myself to them more. They don't recognize me. Nerus managed to open his eyes once we stepped under the gigantic building shadow and then walked just a bit ahead of me. The doorman watched him, looking for any sign that he might be transformed, and let him through without a word when they were certain he was the real deal, and put the glove I had taken off back on and followed the great safe shifter. Oh wow, this place is great. There were buffets over there. What do you say we dig in? Of course I'm starving. We walked to an exceedingly long table, place packed with all sorts of food, spread across its entire surface. Its center surrounded by several stacks of drinking glasses, were 3 huge cups almost overflowing with a wet substance. Not being quite sure what all this was, I limited myself to picking the foods I was more familiar with. Some fish salad, cheese, bread, and, of course, giant fireflies. Never was picking up meat dishes for the most part. Some important looking safe shifter will approach Nerus every once in a while, but all of them went about their business after exchanging greetings. Not even at noble gatherings do they serve this much food. Quite impressive. Do not eat so fast you're going to choke. Foolishness. I did choke. I started to have a coughing fit and looked away from the table. I heard Nerus sigh, and then felt his big hand rub and pat my back. Even though I was looking down, my cheeks started feeling hot, knowing a lot of eyes must have been drawn to me due to all the noise I made. I have a hard time believing you come from a noble family sometimes. Sorry. The world never fit, if you ask me. I'll go looking for a barracks for you. Stay put. I nodded, and with that, Nerus walked away. Getting to the center of the table took me way longer than I had estimated, maybe because it seemed as if I couldn't move 2 steps without someone addressing me. This much was typical at gatherings like this, and that was why I disliked them to a degree. However, back then, keeping appearances was necessary to keep our people going and from losing hope. If we, the ones at the top, crumbled under the pressure of the eternal comfort that afflicted us, then the rest of the shapeshifters would soon follow. To us, giving up on our God-given ideal would mean to deny the very reason of our existence, and if it came to that, the only thing that will remain for us in the future would be utter despair. That's what I believe will motivate me to try and play along with this farce. This attempt at convincing ourselves things were progressing smoothly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So back to the gathering, every time someone approached me, I would say, Good to see you are doing well. I would like to talk more, but my warper choked on some food, and I was on my way to get him some punch. Let's talk more later. Before we are showing a smile on my face, a sigh of relief escaped my mouth once, and at last I reached the punch cups. I was feeling like glass when something bumped into my arm, causing me to spill some of the red liquid on myself. An eyebrow raised. I looked sideways at my wife. Apologies for the punch. I turned to the slender, colorful, and ill-dressed figure, a forced smile on my face. No, do not worry about this. More importantly, it is delightful to see you here. It has been long since we last met, has it not? No didn't answer. I could tell he was stalling. He was staring right at me, though. It's about him lacking any distinctive eyes. I definitely do not want to deal with this right now. Well, I would like to talk with my warper. Big White. You got a warper, yes? That is right. As I was saying, Sir, I feel better already. Oh, am I interrupting something? For goodness sake. No, not all, Sax. Oh, also, is that punch on your suit? I accidentally spilled some myself. In any event, allow me to introduce you to each other. No, this is Sax, my new warper. And Sax, this is Nominal. You might have heard of him, considering he is the leader of us safe-sitters. Oh my, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. You forgive me for not recognizing you. Well, I have heard a lot about you. I didn't know what you looked like. Sax got on one knee and bowed to Nominal. The great safe-sitter looked in his general direction on his hanging limp from his shoulders. To me, he looked sort of confused by the gesture. Sax. You, finally, even by sacred standards, Naruto always seemed to give out this otherworldly aura. His odd posture, stiff movements, paused speech, above all the lack of facial features all other sacred possessed made him an uncanny creature. The reason for this was that indeed he was the most otherworldly out of all of us. He was the only one that could contact the aeons after all. But even so, he was speaking with an ominous tone that was uncharacteristic for him. Sax had picked up on this and looked at me as if asking what he should do. Then, Sax, huh? Is something the matter? Naruto ignored him, however, instead turned to me in what felt like a fraction of a second. So, what do you think? About what? Naruto fell silent. Then he inclined his head and started fidgeting with his fingers. Do you think he's cute? What? Oh, that was all? No need to act so scared over a compliment, haha. But yes, I've been told I'm cute. Sorry. In any case, Naruto, I'm surprised to see you here. What's the occasion? Was bored. Understandable, I suppose. Do you plan to partake in the activities? Well, just watch. Not interested in participating. Would there be anything besides the dancing? There'll be a wrestling event too. Whoa! Why? Big White kept suggesting we made it a thing, and we relented. You have to admit, it's the most entertaining event at our gatherings. Maybe for you, bet you always come through as champion. As surprising as this may seem to you, no. I do not think I've ever beaten Naruto the times he participated, but since he will be abstaining, I will most likely win, yes. Really? As expected from our leader, I suppose. Thanks. Anyway, the ballroom will start soon. Is that so? You should go join, sir. You can go ahead. No, I meant we should go dance together. Did we not agree that would not work with our heights? Oh, come on. We don't know for sure until we try. And let out a rather loud laugh, loud sigh. Fine, it is not like a dance between a great sea sister and a warper means much. I guess so, but it doesn't mean it'll be any less fun. True. Well, take care, Naruto. Yes, it was nice to meet you. You too. War. Plague. Oh. I did not resist, but looked away from the sword sea sister the entire time. Like leaves carried by the wind, thoughts flew within my mind before consolidating into a vortex. Why am I even humoring him? I should have turned him down. But doing that just doesn't feel right. He looks so happy and excited. I suppose I do not mind going along with him if he keeps smiling like that. I do not dislike how full and carefree he is around me. I would like that not to change if possible. But I do wonder if that is all there is to it. But it has to be, right? I still do not even know him all that well. Okay, follow my lead, sir. I promise I'll make this work. No, wait, you will follow me. Oh, okay. Let me give you a single warning. I will be manhandling quite a bit. Maybe if you had assisted the other day, we could have prepared something more elegant, but there's only so much I can do on such short notice. Fair enough. Don't worry too much about me. I'm pretty sorry. We will see. Nerus wasn't kidding about manhandling me. When they had met at a ballroom event, what popped up in my head was a waltz, since that's what we danced to at home. This dance here was faster and a lot more dynamic than that, and they used a lot of moves I wasn't familiar with. I struggled to keep up with Nerus as he pulled me up to his chest, then down and away, then spun me back, left, right, left, right. I kept up with him just fine when we were both dancing on the floor. He made sure to make small steps so I wouldn't have trouble following his pace. But as soon as he started doing those sudden stylish moves, I lost all control of the situation. I knew I was coming out as exhausted and dizzy, but I didn't stop it from being fun. And the way he handled me, as well as how he held me close at times, made my heart flutter. Was it right to get this sort of satisfaction out of dance with my superior? I wouldn't say so, but I didn't care. Those hands could have snapped me in half with about as much resistance as a branch. But even as he was performing these sort of movements, I felt safe between them. Each time one of them grabbed up behind my back and pulled me to his chest, I wished to close my eyes and remain there, basking in the gentle warmth so particular to the great shifter. The flickering crimson flame that felt like it fueled his every movement. You were doing well, Sax. Hang in there. I could tell the song was near its end and that Nerus was preparing to wrap the dance up. After throwing me around some more, the great shifter got down on one knee and instructed me to lean back, leaving me hanging from his hand on my back. I thought striking that pose would be the end of it, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Nerus was looming over me, looked at me in the eye. Then ever so slowly, he leaned closer and pressed his snout against my exposed neck. His cold nose pressed down on my feathers, wetted them, and firing all kinds of signals right into my brain. My breathing became heavier, and the one response my entire body could utter was attempting to prop itself closer to him. He caught the hint, though, which prompted him to pull me closer and, to my surprise, bare his fangs. His teeth made their way through my plummets and grazed against my skin. It made every single feather of my body stand up. I couldn't hold it. My eyes set closed, and a gasp escaped my throat as I reached to embrace him. Unfortunately, it was then that the host's booming voice pulled the both of us back into reality. He was announcing both the end of the ballroom and the start of the wrestling contest. Nerus put me back on the floor and stood up. Excuse me for that. I lost sight of myself for an instant. He was avoiding looking at me again. After the excitement from just now crashed a pile of disappointment, saying, I couldn't believe he had reacted like that after that display in front of all the other guests. But as usual, I tried to not let it show, although I imagine my cheeks must have been very red regardless. Are you alright? Oh, yes. He was avoiding looking at me, pretending to be fixing his suit. I was confused. Why the son changed the answer? I couldn't imagine what was going through his mind, and that made me afraid. Perhaps I had inadvertently violated a boundary, but the way he had never made me doubt this. I just couldn't understand. Was I supposed to reassure him, or to apologize for embarrassing the both of us? All the eyes around us were helping with the nerves. He must have felt the same way in that regard. Sax, would you like to go get some fresh air? Yes, I believe I need some right now. But you're going to miss a wrestling contest. It does not matter. I suppose it would be interesting to see who wins without me and Nominal participating. Besides, I want to have a word with you, if you do not mind. Okay. Oh, did I just mess everything up? He doesn't look happy at all. I was out of line since the moment I asked him to dance with me. We will be going for a walk. Nerus said to the doorman as he walked out of the hall. We spent the following 10 minutes walking around the city in silence. It was becoming unbearable. I figured Nerus didn't want to talk until we had some degree of privacy, but when I spotted a bench on the side of a street without many passersby, I suggested we should take a seat there. The great safe shifter answered with a half-hearted nod. The silence still didn't break, though. A few moments later, Nerus sat still, gazing at the clouds above us, while I hung my head and occasionally saw him a glance. In the end, I couldn't bear the tension and spoke first. I'm sorry. My behavior back at the hall was unacceptable. I didn't have the right to ask anything from you, great safe shifter. I was about to get off the bent to offer him an apologetic bow, but Nerus blocked my path with his arm. He was finally looking at me. Do you always apologize over nothing? But Sax, you did nothing to bother me. Please stop acting as if you did. It was not my intention for it to seem like that. I am just thinking right now. I opened my mouth as if to retort, but I couldn't utter a word, in part because deep down I knew Nerus was right, that I hadn't done anything wrong. The atmosphere back at the gathering had grown awkward, and being unable to see what had caused Nerus' behavior to take such a turn, I had blamed myself. But there was a second reason. The stoic look that until now had always been in Nerus' eyes was now gone, replaced by a softer, more tender one. His stern voice as well had gone through the same transformation. He was being genuine right now, I thought. Those eyes, there was something new in them that neither of us could understand. There was another moment of silence. They were struggling to gather his thoughts, and then he spoke again. Listen, Sax, I'm going to be as honest as I can. He placed his hand on my cheek, nudging me so I would face him. You are a very weird shapeshifter. Okay? I mean, it is a compliment. We shapeshifters weren't born equal. Every single one of us is bound to the role granted us by God, and said role manifests itself through the magic we were born with, yes. In that same way, there exists an appropriate way for us to behave depending on our role. Be a stern but ultimately kind leader, or a simple servant who shouldn't involve himself in his master's business more than necessary. I'm just like that, but you, I get the feeling that is not the case for you. It is true, you still stick to formalities, but you aren't afraid of speaking your mind or being true to yourself rather than to your role. You're way too much into it, sir. I am clumsy, and that causes me to overstep boundaries and make mistakes. There's nothing in me as admirable as what you describe. I recognize your clumsiness plays a role in that, yes, but I still believe it is a respectable trait you have. It's a very rare thing to see in our world. His hand slid off my cheek to rest on my shoulder instead. In every event, what I'm trying to tell you, Sax, is that I could never be displeased by things such as you wanted to dance with me or complimenting me. You could have insulted me this morning, and I wouldn't have cared as long as it was genuine. You don't play the role of the proper warper, but I'm okay with that. You don't need to censor yourself around me. I want to make that clear. I wish I could be that honest myself. I suppose that's one reason why I'm telling you all this. And the other one is nothing particular. As I said, I wanted to let you know. Then, you weren't mad earlier? No, of course not. I'm sorry my hesitation caused you anxiety. Oh, it was pretty awkward when the host interrupted us, but when you said you wanted to talk, I was convinced I had screwed up for real. Nerus looked away briefly and then inside the corner of his mouth formed a grimace. If anything, I should apologize. It must have been scary to have me gnawing at your neck. It surprised me, but, well, I didn't mind it, honest. I suppose a warning would have been nice. The bigger shapeshifter nodded. You will not have it again, I promise. It wasn't unpleasant at all, but now's not the best moment to bring that up. He really regrets it. Maybe I should change the topic to try to cheer him up. Let's see, all this does explain some of his behaviors, I suppose. Anyone would be exhausted after wearing a mask for so long. I imagine even seeing others do it is exhausting for him now. Come on, Sax. Your great shapeshifter is confining his personal feelings to you. You got to say something. To be honest, I didn't even imagine you were carrying such a heavy weight all alone, sir. But, if it is any consolation to you, I don't think it's your role that gives shapeshifters hope, but your good heart. Despite the things I did and my contempt for my family, you have only been kind to me, and I don't think that's because I'm your underling. I didn't get it at first, but you remember the night that Noble visited? What about it? Back then, the reason you asked me if my family had harmed me was because of my reaction when he praised him, right? You could have interpreted my behavior as me being spiteful, but instead you assume I had been wrong and asked me about it. I don't think that sort of concern comes with any role. The truth is, you have a kind heart, sir. I believe people look up to you because they realize that's how you are at your core, even you come off as cold or grumpy. I'm trying to say you don't need to be perfect or to live up to being put on a pedestal. Instead, be afraid to show your true face to others. But I understand it can be scary to let others know how you feel, especially for someone in your position. So at the very least, I can always lend you an ear if you are in need. That way you don't need to bottle things up. I would truly appreciate it. You know, I'm glad we are having a straightforward conversation when you are playing the great sister part. I have a hard time winning if you are having a good time if I'm being an annoyance. I'm sorry about that, but I don't think I've ever found you annoying. That's relief, sir. And Sax, from now on, you can start calling me sir, or great shapeshifter. I looked at him with inquisitive eyes. I would like you to start calling me Nerus if you want. Nerus, sure. It's not that different, but it does sound catchier. Nerus. Do not repeat it like that. It sounds like you're trying to put a curse on me. Sorry, I was trying to come up with something else to say, but I was blank. Nerus had just unpacked a lot of the baggage he had been carrying all by himself for who knows how long. How could I know what was the right thing to tell him? Of course he understood this and wasn't expecting me to say more than I always had, but I still wanted to offer him any comfort I could give him. And since words wouldn't come out anymore, I proposed something different to him. Nerus, can I hug you? Excuse me. It looks to me like you could use a hug. Besides, I want to show you I'm not afraid of you after what happened at the bar room. Nerus blinked, and I felt his hand move on my shoulder, being held up by hesitation. Having decided to take the initiative, I pretty much pounced at him and threw my arms around his waist. My sudden hug must have startled him because I felt him jump slightly, but after a few seconds, it was like all the tension in his body had melted away. Ever so tenderly, he enveloped me in his arms and squeezed me against him. Thank you, Sax. You can't imagine how much all this means to me. You're welcome. Also, you are so warm. I could fall asleep here. Do not. You still need to go back to the hall. I wish I had a few more moments to bask in his warmth and weight of his embrace, but he had a point. Soon after, I pulled away from him and looked straight at his face. You're smiling, Nerus. Why do you say it like it is a big surprise? Am I that grumpy the entire time? By the way, Nerus, why did you name me, of all things? Mutilating a compliment slip is one thing, but that felt, on a whole other level. It was an impulse, yes. Bottle of emotions bursting out, as you said. I see. I'll keep that in mind then. Oh, what are you trying to imply? You are the one making implications. Back then, I wasn't sure what to think, what to believe. Never before in my life had I trusted someone as I trusted him. No one made me feel relaxed the way he did. No one made me forget the way he did. All I needed to drown my anger was to look at that smile, and yet that very fact scared me. It terrified me. But never had I felt that way about anyone. And so, I wish to protect that smile forever. For as long as this body of mine allowed me to, with all the power I could muster, I would. I was in my dark bedchamber facing the ceiling. It seems I will not be getting a decent sleep tonight either. I've never had a nightmare like that one. What was that about? I sat on the edge of my bed and I looked down at my hands. I was trembling. I was having trouble sleeping back then, but this was the first time something like this happened. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I will go for a stroll. I doubt lying here would help me calm myself down. I put on a pair of pants and then I stepped into the hallway. I wandered in the dark, thinking about that nightmare and the discussion I had with Sax the day before. I thought they were linked. That was a nightmare because of the way I felt toward Sax. Am I becoming afraid of losing him? Well, there is a legitimate concern with him being so amnesiac. I need to be careful with him, protect him if necessary. I whispered, knowing no one would hear. Or so I thought. In that instant, when the stairs entered my field of view, I spotted something from the corner of my eye. A silhouette. Was that someone going downstairs? But how odd I did not hear a thing. If that is a burglar, they are in for a rude awakening. I always chased after the shadow right away, but then a question crossed my mind. What did they come upstairs for? I turned toward the door to Sax's bedchamber and scowled my face. Without any hesitation, I walked up to it and opened it. Sax was sound asleep, hugging his pillow and wet in bed seats. He was even snoring a little. Just to be sure, I produced a small flame on the tip of my finger, proceeded to search the room, including the bathroom. I didn't find anything suspicious in the end. I was to go downstairs and check on Seville's next. I extinguished the flame and exited the hallway, noticing the door closed behind me. When I arrived at Seville's room and confirmed he was soundly asleep as well, I repeated the same process as in Sax's room. When I concluded that no one had broken into his bedchamber and searched the rest of the house. Dark miasma that filled the corridor seemed thicker that night, but aside from that, there was nothing out of the ordinary in the entire house. Being outside was just my imagination. At least that was a nice night invention, I suppose. Before making my way back to my room, I decided to stop by the library in order to grab something to read until the morning arrived. So, we got to go to the conference and meet all the Say-Sitters, and we also got to meet Nomino, who is a leader of the Say-Sitters. Apparently, Nomino thinks Sax is cute, which I guess is a good thing for Sax. So, when they got on the stage and danced, around the end of the dance, that's when something intimate happened. Nerus bit Sax on the neck, which caused an awkward moment for the both of them, so much so they ended up leaving the conference for a little bit to walk around town. They found a bench to sit at, and that's when Sax apologized to Nerus for whatever he did. He didn't know what he did, but whatever he did, he apologized for it. And Nerus stopped him and told Sax that he did nothing wrong. And that was when Nerus got honest with Sax and told him what he thought about him. And that he really likes Sax because he's someone who speaks his mind and will speak up for himself. This is when the Say-Sitter noble visited Nerus and him for dinner, and the noble started talking about Sax's family, that was when Sax got mad and told the shapeshifter noble off. I think that was a moment when Nerus started respecting Sax more, because that's when Nerus really started respecting Sax more. So yeah, that's what Nerus really feels about Sax, that he speaks up for himself and is not afraid to speak his mind. He still sticks to formalities, but he's not afraid to say what he thinks, especially to those who are superior to him. Especially, I think the fact that Nerus likes that about Sax really says a lot about Nerus himself. Apparently, he's not the kind of great shapeshifter who demands respect and expects everybody to be completely subservient to him. He does value Sax, or anybody in general who are more honest about themselves, who he likes people just be themselves more and not stick to being completely subservient to them. He even told Sax that he would have been fine if he insulted him, as long as it was genuine. So that's when I really started to like Nerus a lot more, because he's more humble. He does still want respect, but at the same time, he certainly seems to be more humble compared to other great shapeshifters, because he does allow people. Based on the way he thinks of Sax now, he's the type of person who likes it when people are honest to him. Like, he likes it when people are honest to him, and he likes it when people are honest to themselves. So that's certainly different to all the shapeshifters, the great shapeshifters who are these pompous, self-important people who expect those subordinate to them to say every formality out there and to be completely subservient and respectful to them and not speak up to them at all. That's all that makes Nerus different from all the other shapeshifters. The other great shapeshifters, So next time we'll figure out how this relationship evolves. Does it get stronger or does it get more awkward? I'm eager to see what happens. So that's all I have to say for now. All the information for the game is in the description box below, including the creator's Patreon, where you can support the game and watch updates early before they become public, as well as the creator's Twitter, where you can stay updated on the progress of the game and figure out when new updates will come out. So thanks very much for watching. Bye.